20 miles south of Ionia. It's very murky. You can see the moon and the brightest stuff in the sky, and that's it.
Oh boy.
Outside of where I live, I live in the city, so I get a lot of city lights. But I was still able to see Mars and Jupiter and Saturn were visible without the telescope. They're pretty clear.
Yeah, the planets are pretty easily visible right now. They're very bright. But I lived in the city for a while myself. I know the plight of visibility of the city.
It's not a whole lot better here, I don't think. I live right back up to a bus garage, so.
Yeah, so you got all the lights around all night long in the parking lot, huh?
Not good. Yeah,
and it's cool keep those buses safe. So. Yeah. Well, that's why we have a nice place down in Ionia to observe at. That helps quite a bit.
When I was out there last Saturday by myself, I hiked it up the hill. Oh, that's all right. I hiked it up the hill, and I was able to check out the facility, and it's pretty cool. I'd never seen the place before. It's kind of like a place that if you didn't know exactly where it was, you'd blink and you'd miss the place. Drive right past it. If you got to know where that yellow gate is, and you'll be fine. I'm not sure if we're going to have an open house in December, but we will do an observing session on the 13th if it's clear for the Geminid meteor shower. So stay tuned for more information on that. We'll get more announcements if there's going to be an open house besides that at the meeting on December 4th. That'll be our next meeting, and you'll get notified via email. If you're on the email list or by the newsletter, because the newsletter is going to come out probably that same week, earlier the week of the meeting. Like I know November 30th, it'll come out, something like that. Is it typically more cloudy during the wintertime than it is during the summertime?
Hard to say. It's if it's moist, yeah, it's cloudy. I mean, it's cloudy here. I think Rochester area is known to have something like 255 days a year of cloudiness, so that's pretty cloudy. Yeah. I think Seattle might be the only one that beats us.
I usually call the city Rottenfester.
Rottenfester, yeah.
Yeah, it gets really gloomy here.
Yeah. So you got to go out and enjoy the sun when you can.
Well, I'm a Rochester native. I moved back here 7 years ago, but in between I was living in Cleveland, where they think that they have bad weather.
Or you think they have bad weather.
Yeah, they think that it's bad there. They've got no clue.
Oh, boy.
At least they have, sunny days in November, a lot of nice, crisp, clear sunny days. And in Rochester, it's just like we're living under a cloud.
Yeah. Cleveland might actually have a little lake effect clearing. It helps keep them cloudy free. They don't have as many bays, and I don't know. I'm just pontificating.
The weather was definitely better there. And it's funny because it's not that much farther south, but it's noticeably, warmer. It gets warmer in the summer, and it doesn't get as bitterly cold in the winter.
Crazy. Well, I see it's 7:30, so I'm going to get started. Welcome everyone to our the astronomy section of Rochester Academy of Science virtual star party. This is our 5th in a series of star parties. And if you want to see the other ones, I will refer you to the newsletter. If you haven't gotten the latest newsletter for November, it's in there. It might be in October, but I'll ask Peter, our editor, to publish the links to the other ones if you want to see the other virtual star parties. But I'll also publish a link to this one.
Yeah, I got most of them on the website. You want me to put them all up there?
Oh, that'd be great. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, so Pete Bono, who you can see above in the red shirt, is our webmaster, and he'll post a link on the webpage when I send them out.
Mark,
Thanks, Pete.
should we turn off our cameras for bandwidth?
Yeah, so what I will do is I will go through this presentation, and then when I put the I'm going to put the video up, and then I would ask everyone to turn off their cameras. And then when we're done, you can turn them back on if you want to converse afterwards. So you can leave them on for the couple of slides I have here, and then I'll ask you to turn them off. Well, first I want to thank Dave Pesch and his company Expudo for donating this service. If you were on earlier, you heard me explaining that Dave donates this online access meeting site. You don't have to download a client or anything. You just hook up online, and you're able to have a meeting like this. So I want to thank Dave for letting us use this. We can put as many people in this room as we want and for as long as we want, not have to worry about paying for that service. So I want to make sure I thank Dave every time we use this, because it really is a pleasure to use. So here's how it's going to be. I will. We're not going to be on like this long, but if it gets noisy, I will mute you. Don't take it personally. Just unmute yourself if you want to talk. You can easily unmute. Just click on your name, click, or on your screen at the bottom in the middle. There's a little microphone. It'll have a slash through it if I've muted you, or if you muted yourself, just click it again to talk. And please do not be offended if I mute you. It's just a matter of trying to keep the room from being noisy. If you want to chat during the presentation, I always get a phone call when I do this. You want to chat? You can. There's a chat bar next to the attendees where everybody's attending on the left-hand side. You go down there. You can at the bottom of the chat, you can type in to everybody. If you want to send a message to somebody in particular, you could do that. You can ask. You want to ask me questions as we go. That's great. You can do that. If you have a headset, you're here again, or you don't want to do it now, whenever. It's the best way is to use a headset. Keeps out the background noise and makes sure your microphone a little easier to use. So that's how that works. The credits. I did the narration and the imaging in this one. I had some help the last time with from other people. So I'm using our Celestron C14 in its native f11 mode. So it's in its long focal length mode. And then I use some software. I use the Sky 10 to find objects in the sky and to steer the telescope. I use a capture tool called ASI Cap, which is software that comes with the camera that we use. OBS Studio is what I use to combine all my little clips together, or actually to record the clips and audio together. And then I use a tool called Video Pad to take all the clips, assemble them all together. I could edit them. I could put some graphics or some words, whatever, in there. And then Photoshop. I Photoshop some of the images that I took to help bring out details in the imagery. So tonight, I want to follow up on what we did with our last star party. That was on October 4th. We looked at the planets, and if you were here then, we didn't get to all the planets that I wanted to get to because they were down in the trees. And I hope to during this session get to Uranus, which I missed. And so high in the sky are Mars, Uranus, and Neptune. So I want to make sure I get those three planets in this session. Saturn and Jupiter are pretty low in the sky by the time I got everything set up, so I didn't get any Saturn and Jupiter. So we'll look at these three planets, and if we have time, we'll look at a couple other things as well. All right. So as a bonus, here is our speaker for our December meeting. This is Kelly Douglas. She's an assistant professor of physics and astronomy at the U of R, and she's actually teaching courses. She's been teaching there for like 2 years now. And I don't have a title for her talk today. I was just on this same platform with her today, and we were handing back and forth so she could get used to using the software. And she's going to give me a title that she wants to use in the next week or so, and I'll send that out when I know it. But her current research involves studying the large-scale environmental influence on galaxy evolution. So she's a galactic astronomer, black holes up. So I'll get a title for her talk, and I'll send that out with my next notice on our next meeting. And that's for Friday, December 4th. So 2 weeks from today, our December meeting. And with that, I will start the video. Second here. And I will ask you to turn off your video now. I'm going to turn off mine as well. Now we have a nice full screen. If you want a bigger screen, you can close the chat up and I will start. It's about an hour long. Oh, I got to start from the beginning. I'm sorry. I paused this for a moment. I want to make sure everybody's hearing audio. Bill wasn't hearing audio. You guys hearing audio?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
All right. If you don't hear audio in the video down below where the mute button is, it may be muted and you might be able to unmute it yourself. Okay. All right. Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah, I'm hearing your audio too, so I'm okay.
Thanks. Thanks, Pete. Oh no, what happened to my video? Well, that's a problem. Hang on.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, give me a second here. I might have to go to my alternate.
Clearly, you have something NASA does not want us to see.
Yeah, I guess so. Give me a moment here.
Hey, you guys ever watch the show Cosmos? I've been getting into it lately. It's an amazing show.
Good stuff.
Yes, I watched Cosmos by accident. Very good show.
You talk about the very latest one?
Yeah,
Um,
2 seasons of it. The first season was like back in 2014.
there's a movie called Cosmos.
Is it based on the show?
Pardon me?
Is it based on the show?
I don't know. These are four amateur astronomers.
Oh, cool.
Is that it? And they are obviously out trying, and they're doing radio astronomy, and they happen to intercept a message from a visitor from outer space.
Oh, wow.
That is so weird.
Yeah, really good. I enjoyed it.
This is what happens when you change something last minute, update it, and you don't test it right away. Make sure that everything worked.
It's like programming.
I had an error in one of the images that I put in, and I pulled the image out, put new images in, uploaded it. I started at the beginning and made sure things were working. They seemed to be working fine, so I uploaded it, and I got to where the images come up, and now it's doing nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to narrate it, because I think that when I do it this way, I don't get the sound real good, real coming through very well. So we'll try that. Give me a moment here. So I'm moving it from a flash drive, computer to a flash drive to send over to here. So yeah, test early, test often, right, Jackie? And if I was smart, I would have left the other version on there, and I could have just switched over to it, but I didn't do that. Okay. right, so taking the file, dropping it on my desktop. Okay, so let me try this. I'm going to share an application window. I need to know if you're hearing any audio on this. Chances are you're not.
Not hearing
Nothing
anything
yet. Nothing yet. Yeah.
Well, we're hearing you talk.
Yep. Of course, I need to be playing it. Look at that. It's this. It's my vid. It's the file's corrupted. It's the way I sent it. Hang on. I'll use this different one then. All right. Okay. Are you hearing any audio besides me talking now? Nope.
No, not yet.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna mute it so I can just talk to it. All right. So I'm looking for Neptune now, and I'm struggling to find it. You can see I got the sky up, and I eventually get close enough to let me make this bigger so I can see what I'm doing here. To find Neptune. And so I was struggling to find this, much like I did with Uranus, but even more so. Neptune is much farther away than Uranus. And so I went up to Marcab, part of Pegasus, which is a bright star, and I synchronized the scope to Marcab, and then I really only had to move south to get down to Neptune, or pretty close to south. So it's almost on a straight line on that one side of that western side of Pegasus to come down to Neptune. So that's what I did. And after futzing around with it a little bit, I got the scope to go down there. I used the finder scope to help find it. And planetary objects are pretty distinctly planetary. Stars tend to be really bright and white, but planetary objects tend to be a little less so. And this is what I got. This is the first image I saw. The gain was way up high. The exposure was way up high. And so you see this blue dot. And then next to the blue dot is this little object here. I wasn't quite sure what that was. And I sure thought that it was a moon of Neptune's. So you're not hearing me, Pete? You guys are hearing me? You guys are hearing me okay? Okay. I saw Pete saying no audio here. So I used the sky to try to zoom in to see if I could actually see what moons I'm looking at. And the sky wasn't very helpful for that. So I zoomed all the way in. I could not find moons in this software. So I opened up this is the computer that's set up in the warm room at the big dome at the Ferris Center. And I couldn't find any satellites around Neptune using this software, nor could I find a way to display them. So I went on to my other software. I was using Sky Safari Pro, and I went to see what I could find there for moons. And then I was able to see that depending on the scale of Neptune, if that was really close, it could be one of the tiny moons that's close by, or it could have been its largest moon, Titan. So I'm zooming in and out of here. Let me see if I can speed this up a little bit. And so what I figured out is that moon was the moon Titan, right next to Neptune. So zooming out further, I saw that there were other things out there too. There's something out there. Was that a moon or was that a star? There's Titan next to Uranus. There's some stars out here. So I pulled out what I did was I took these images and I said that later on what I'm going to do is I'll take these images. I'll take a video of this, and then I'll superimpose the image I get of Neptune onto all the other stuff that I see there, and I'll try to find. Excuse me, Triton. Thank you, Bill. It was Triton. Titan is around Saturn. Thank you. That's a very, very good correction. And so let me move this along a little bit farther here. I talk a lot about what I find. So here's what I get. I got a nice image of Neptune, and this is Neptune zoomed all the way out like we did with Uranus. It truly is just a tiny little dot out there, and that's twice as far away as Uranus. So it's about 2.4 billion miles away, our farthest planet, if you're not a Pluto purist. But that is a very, very, very distant object. It's good. It's a pretty good size ice giant, but it's one of the farthest things we're going to see, at least this easily with a telescope. So I spent some time taking a couple of videos of Neptune itself, and then I increased the gain and the exposure to try to catch its moons. Let me show you what I got here. So I'm going to move this forward a little bit. So I was very tedious with all this because I wasn't sure what I was getting with the moons, and I wanted to make sure that I could capture what I could get. And so we'll pause it when I get to my stuff here. All right, so there's Neptune. Well, let me back it up a bit. So there's Neptune all by itself in the image. I didn't see any other stars in the image when I got Neptune like this. And then I'll merge into Neptune zoomed in. And again, I did the same thing with Registax that I did with Uranus to see if I could get any detail on it. There had been talk that there was some kind of white cloud that was on Neptune, and I didn't see it. And I didn't get any detail by pulling any wavelet information out of Neptune. But it's a very pretty planet, very blue because of all the methane that's in it. Neptune also has ridiculous winds on it. Some of the wind storms on Neptune are supposedly in the over 1,000 miles an hour, which is pretty fast. All right, so this image is the combined image I stacked up all the moons that I got of around Neptune and the stars that are out there as well. And so I took this image and I looked at my sky software. I use Sky Safari Pro, and this is what I see on Sky Safari Pro. I see Neptune. Right next to it is Triton, and then way out up above is a little moon. It's actually not so little. It's bigger than most of the moons, called Nereid. So then I took my image and I tilted it to try to match what I had from Sky Safari. So you see you've got Triton down here, and then somewhere in here you got Nereid, and that's not Nereid. That's a star, but there is a little moon here. And that's what I tried to correct. And when I uploaded it, I corrupted the file. But Nereid is right here, and you'll see that in a later image. But we have Nereid, Triton, and Neptune. I was able to line up these other 5 stars here with what I found on Sky Safari Pro. So then I zoomed in a little farther, and here's Triton, and I thought I saw another moon out here, and I couldn't tell if it was Naiad, Thalassa. I can't read them. I'm looking at a very small image here. Naiad, Thalassa, Galatea, or Proteus. I wasn't sure what I was looking at. Oops, hang on a second. What did I do? I can't believe I just did that. Give me a second. That's crazy.
I know the feeling because I have an internet radio show, and it seems like whenever I do a show, there's always something that happens.
Oh, well, I caused this myself, so. All right. All right, so let me pause this here. This is what I found when, upon further examination, is Nereid was there. Triton was there, and there's a little moon over here that you could actually see Proteus, and Proteus was big enough that you could actually see it, and it looks like there's a little something there. I don't believe that that's Galatea. I put that on there, and then when I corrected, I took that off, but I don't think it was Galatea. But we did get to see Nereid and Triton certainly, and potentially Proteus as well when we were looking at Neptune. There's a little better picture. This right here is what Nereid is. It's a magnitude 18. That's a little brighter magnitude star. But this little dot up here is Nereid, Triton, Proteus. There was no moons out here that were listed, so that's not a moon. But kind of interesting that something that far away, and we were able to capture its moons using our little 14-inch telescope here in Ionia. So that was kind of fun to do. So we had some more time. It was fairly early in the evening, so I decided let's look at a couple other things. We're in this part of the sky, so I said let's look at M15, which is a globular cluster up in Perseus. It's a pretty globular cluster. It's a fairly good sized globular cluster. So I moved the scope over there. Now we're going to get to deeper sky objects. These objects are much farther away than our planets, dimmer. Well, some of them are certainly dimmer. So I'm using a different capture tool with that one. I used you have to capture a little bit longer. So instead of seconds of capture, I need like half minutes to 2-3 minute captures of deeper sky objects. So I switched the tool over to the deep sky version of the ASI capture, and we captured a 2-minute video of M15. which promptly revealed that I was not tracking very well. So here's the image of M15. You can see that it's blurred. And so over 2 minutes, the scope was not sitting right on an image like this. So when I come back next time in this mode to do deep sky imaging, I'm probably going to need to use a guide scope, or you look at things a little higher in the sky, they tend to track a little better if you're a little higher in the sky looking at objects. This was getting I don't want to say it was low, but it was just above the ecliptic.
What is that? A star or a galaxy or something, or what?
So that's a globular cluster. So it's a cluster of stars. It's about 40, I want to say it's about 40 million light years distant. And here's a better shot of it. So I did a shorter image of about 30 seconds, and it was enough capture to capture this globular cluster. So these stars all form together in this area. There's lots of theories on globular clusters, how they're formed. Oh, I'm glad I put that in there. 3,300 light years from Earth, and 175 light years in diameter. So, and there's about 150 to 200 of these in our galaxy. Some bigger than others. A pretty object to look at. Globular clusters are always fun to look at. They're just very pretty, especially when you have really clear skies. It's almost like looking at diamonds on velvet when you look at some of these. They're really pretty. So I thought that we'd look at one more thing. It's a little lower in the sky. I had tried this before at another star party earlier on. I don't know, there's a second or third one. Wanted to see if I could split the double with this. We had done it with the Hyperstar in, which made this an f1.9 scope. Now it's back to f11. I wanted to see if I could split the double. So I went over to Lyra, which was, the summer triangle is quickly heading toward the horizon. So I figured I'd give it a shot. We slewed the scope over, and the double is one side of the little triangle that sits on top of the parallelogram of Lyra. So here's Lyra. It's a little parallelogram here. Parallelogram of Lyra, and then there's a little triangle that sits on top. And this corner is the double. And so it's two sets of double stars. And the double stars that are away from each other are very close. So we tried to take an image of it. So I'm back to the software to take an image of the double. And because these are stars, I don't need a long image. I can take a pretty quick image. A single star like that's pretty bright. And because I never turned off the software, I actually have a residual image of M15 and a blurred image of the double, which will be corrected in just a second because it's just taking it is taking a 30-second exposure. And so there's our double. And we're fairly focused, but it's probably too long an exposure. So I mess with the exposure to take a little shorter image. Oh, I turned the gain down too. So I had the gain up high. So I turned the gain down to low. And instead of a 30-second image, you take a 5-second image. And we got rid of a lot of the stuff, but we're still not seeing multiple stars. So there should be 2 stars here and 2 stars here, but we're not seeing that. So I tried to center it a little more. It looks like I pulled it over. So taking another 5-second image now. And Still not a whole lot of luck with splitting them. So we'll try to take an even shorter image because we're still getting a blur because there's two stars. They're either side by side this way and this way, but I'm not sure which is which. And I think what we do is we take a really short image. The problem with that is you start to really lower your signal to noise ratio. So your noise catches up with your signal. You start to get this banding effect in the background. So these are 1 second images coming up one every second, another image. And we're still not able to separate them. This is more of a challenge than anything else than to find something. This would be much easier separated if you were using a telescope visually. You could easily do this, but with a camera and doing it digitally is much more difficult. So here I am. I've lowered the signal now to a 1/100th of a second, and you can actually see the double star here. It's taken every second, and these two go this way, and these two go this way. But it's not a really good image of it. But you can kind of see that there are 4 stars here, 2 real close together on one side and 2 real close together on the other side. But a camera is not a way to look at the double. Very grainy. Not a very pretty picture. And so every 100th of a second it's updating. And you can definitely see that there's kind of a division there. But certainly not definitive. So it wasn't quite that late yet, and I decided we'll try one more object. We're in a part of the sky where there's a very pretty galaxy that I wanted to look at. And so let me see if I can fast forward it over to that. Yeah, so the galaxy is near the southeast corner of Pegasus, the square of Pegasus. And I believe this is called the Little Sombrero. There's a Sombrero galaxy that very famously, you may have seen, has a nice wide dust lane and a big bulge in the middle. That's M104. This is the Little Sombrero. And you can actually see there's a nice dust lane that cuts across with a big bulge in the middle. Very pretty galaxy, about 40 million light years away. Just a gorgeous galaxy. And you can see there's a lot of noise in this. This is because I only took a 60-second exposure with this. You really, to take good galactic pictures, and this is what you do with a star party. You just take quick exposures. But if you were to be imaging this, you would take multi-minute images, tracking it, probably using a guide scope to get good images of this. I just a down and dirty tried to get an image of a pretty galaxy to show you. Although I didn't expect this much noise. We definitely got a lot of noise with a quick 60-second exposure of the Little Sombrero. So I futzed with this a little bit. I tried to take a 2-minute exposure, and I think that comes up, and you're able to see that next. And it cleans up a little bit, but then I start to get some tracking issues. But so there it is. So you can see that I start to get some tracking issues here. You got a star that's blurred this way and this way. Galaxy looks a little richer. I mean, I have a little more light gathered for the galaxy, but it wasn't tracking well. In fact, it looks like there's another galaxy over here. I didn't notice that before. So zoomed in, it's pretty. And that is one thing you could do with a camera that it's a little more difficult to do with an eyepiece. You're switching out eyepieces to zoom in on an eyepiece. But I thought that was fun to catch a galaxy, a globular cluster, a double star, and a few planets for the evening. And we got to see at least 3, I think 2 certainly, and likely 3 moons of Neptune. So that's our show for this evening. Thanks for coming, everyone. Glad you guys glad to open up your mics and talk about what you saw. What do you think?
That's pretty cool.
Thanks, Mark. That was great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, it's good to see. I'm trying to stop right on the moons here. There we go. Yeah, it was fun to do. What I do when I do these, I get in there and I just start talking. It's like I'm talking to myself. But I never really looked for Triton or any other moons of Neptune. And when I found them, it was kind of cool that was able to dig a little deeper to find more moons. This might make it into the RAS bulletin. Corrected though, that where Nereid is shown in this image now is actually a little different. It's actually right here.
Hey, when we go to the Max Farish observatory for star parties and stuff, can we bring our own eyepieces and along?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, bring your eyepieces. You want to bring a scope with you? Certainly do that. We have scopes there. You want to use your eyepieces on the scopes that are there, you can do that too.
Great.
So, anybody able to do any other observing? I thought I saw Kevin on earlier. He sent out a really nice picture of Mars that he did.
The 3D one was really well.
Pardon me?
Did you see the 3D one?
Yeah, the stereo vision one. Yeah, that's what I was referring to. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, very
nice
cool.
job with that. So I don't know when we'll do our next one. Bob, I think that we may want to, I don't know if Bob McGovern is still on or not, but we may want to consider leaving it in this mode to try to capture Saturn and Jupiter at conjunction in December. That's be leaving it in this mode for another month. I don't know if you're up for that or not.
Oh yeah,
I think,
let us know whatever you want to convert back.
Yeah, because if we go back to F1.9, the hyperstar, we're not going to get as good a detail on Saturn and Jupiter in conjunction. So in case you didn't know it, on December 21st, Saturn and Jupiter will be within 6 minutes of each other. That is very, very, very tight distance. In fact, it'll almost appear as one dot in the sky. Yeah, but they'll be following closely behind the sun setting that night. And we'll try to schedule some time with this scope to catch video of that, and maybe we can zoom in and see not only Saturn and Jupiter together, but their moon systems all intertangled together. That'd be kind of cool. Even though there'll be hundreds of, oh yeah, it's beyond a lifetime. The last time this happened was in 1623. So, wow. And even then it was really close to the sun, so it wasn't really visible for people to see. And I think before that was the 1200s. So it's a 400-year event. Galileo, yep.
How close to the how low view on the horizon do we have?
It'll be a little over 13 degrees above the horizon.
No, but how is our view from the site?
That's a good question.
Am I going to have to cut any other trees?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's we'll have to get a little site out there and take a look at it. We got a month to cut down trees, right? Well, Bill just said you could try it earlier with the scope, but he's 100% right. If we have a good scope on it, we can actually catch it during the daytime before the sun even sets. We know where we're looking. So that's possible to do as well. Yeah, so that would be the next thing I'd try to catch. We can probably make an evening out of that if it's good weather. Catch the planets as they set, and then we'll have another list of things to look for.
So that's going to be what, December? I know it's December 21st. This Jupiter and Saturn, but the other one that's going to be earlier in the month, is that the 12th? You said. So
the 13th is the Geminid meteor shower, and that peaks at 8 p.m. our time. But the Geminid peak is pretty wide, so you could see a lot of meteors 8 hours before and 8 hours after the peak. So the night of the 13th, that's a Sunday night. It's a reasonable hour at 8 o'clock to be looking for meteors. And if you want to stay late, probably you're going to see more the later you stay, because Gemini will be rising higher and higher in the sky. So Santosh brings up a great point. I just read that today, that they're decommissioning Arecibo. It looked like it's dangerous. That Arecibo is, I guess, some cables that were holding the pod above the bowl were not. They changed one out, or they reinforced one, and then another one broke. Pretty crazy.
Where is that observatory?
That's in Puerto Rico.
Oh wow.
Puerto Rico.
Cables broke on one of the piers, and it took out a large part of the first one. Took out a large part of the dish.
Oh man.
Yeah, I guess it's unsafe to even work on it, so they're going to decommission it. They're actually going to drop that whole middle assembly down, and then because it's all the wires, everything holding it up are dangerous for anybody to be working on the dish. Sad. It was.
I sent out an email that had a lot of details on it. Cables were under. I guess they expected them to be stronger than they were, or the moisture in that area caused them to deteriorate faster than expected. But the whole facility's 57 years old.
That's an old. It's been around a long time. That's like the original big dish radio observatory. So if you guys want to chat a bit, you can open up you can put your cameras on and talk some more. I'm gonna see if I can take this presentation down. There we go. So if you turn on your camera, it'll just be us talking to each other. Any plans to do any observing between now and Thanksgiving is next week, and then we have another meeting the following Friday. I'm sorry, Santosh. What? Okay, go ahead.
There's not a whole lot you can do out here, in Penfield with the clouds and everything. I'm hoping to get to Arizona after the first of the year, if we can travel. So maybe then.
Maybe. Well, good to see you, Jackie. Take care. Happy Thanksgiving. So I don't know when we get the next break in the clouds. I haven't looked at the weather lately. I was pulling all this together and found that it. I will reload it onto Facebook or onto YouTube, and if you want to come back to watch it in full without you had the impromptu narration, but there's other narration as I was doing it, and you can see the real where the moons actually are. That's why I redid it, because I had mislabeled Nereid. All right. All right. With that, if nobody else wants to take into anything else, I want to say thanks for coming, everyone. Glad you guys enjoyed it. I will share a link to the video. I'm gonna correct the video. I don't know what happened to it, but I will re-edit the video and put it back up, and I'll send a note out to everybody when that's done. And you can link to it right on YouTube. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Have a great evening. And if I don't talk to you between now and then, have a great Thanksgiving next week. Thanks for coming, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks.